everybody, and welcome to the Upkeep for February 18th, 2019.
That's right, all of the magic news that you need.
All right, so by the way, if you want to add the Upkeep as an Alexa skill to your morning briefing, you can now search the store to add it in the Alexa app. Just a little quick news update for you there.
That's right. So jumping right into the magic news, the War of the Spark teaser trailer is here.
Yes, so we got a bit of a taste of what's coming up in War of the Spark. A bunch of planeswalkers across
36
stained glass windows, and then slowly candle sparks being eliminated.
Oh no!
Until only one remains. What does it mean?
Is there only going to be one planeswalker left?
Nicol Bolas.
What if it's not him?
I don't know. Then I don't know who it is.
Well,
anyway, the trailer was awesome, really well done, and I'm hyped.
Same. Absolutely. It will be available on Arena 2 days before the pre-release, same as Ravnica Allegiance.
So you can practice for your pre-release.
That's right. And that is that final weekend in April.
So there's some news surrounding this as well, because there's going to be something of a pre-release Grand Prix coming up in London around the second Mythic Championship that's being held this year. And a lot of local stores are a little bit upset about this because pre-releases, of course, are huge moneymakers for the local game stores in England and the UK. And also they don't get a lot of big scale tournaments like Grand Prix. So of course we want to go and play them. And the store owners wrote an open letter to WotC that said, hey, could you give us a pre-release, because you're essentially taking away our customers by looping this into a Channel Fireball Grand Prix. So what happened is WotC did respond, and they say now that they will offer that Friday the 26th as a pre-release for these stores in the UK only.
So if you want to play War of the Spark before anyone else in paper, you can fly to the UK, unless you already live there, in which case just stay where you are.
Go for it. The EU regions will also be able to sell War of the Spark on the 27th, which is earlier than everybody else. For everybody else, it's still the 3rd.
Yes.
So that's just a bit of an update there. 3rd of May, yes. So yeah, some wild stuff happening with that upcoming Mythic Championship Grand Prix, but I'm happy the stores get an extra day. Isn't enough? Probably not really, but at least they get that day.
Yeah. We also didn't cover last week that the pre-release for War of the Spark is going to be that same weekend, because at first there was some confusion, people being like, is this really when it's happening? The answer is yes.
Yeah, so we get a pre-release Grand Prix essentially.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
And they're not going to have like, you know, the bonus packs or anything like that, or pre-release foils, so you do lose a little bit of value on that. The value you gain is it's cool you're doing a pre-release GP.
Next up, Nexus of Fate is banned in Best of One and Duo Standard for the Invitational.
Yeah, so Nexus of Fate, big questions. We talked about this on previous shows. Will it get the ban hammer? Just in Best of One on Arena and Duo Standard, as you mentioned. And WotC did list out the reasons for this ban. They said it is not because the card is too powerful, specifically.
That's right. They said, using Nexus of Fate as an example, win conditions sometimes take a half hour or more to finish, with the majority or all of that time being non-interactive. This said, there are also cases where Nexus sees play and resolves games in a non-disruptive fashion, which is why banning it has been debated for so long.
So yeah, I guess they understand kind of the duality of this situation here with that explanation as to their ban. They say they will continue to work on how Arena handles repetitive triggers for the future, and trying to find people who abuse the system by not continuing to play when they don't have any win conditions left in their deck.
That's right. And players who had Nexus of Fate as part of their collection on Arena prior to this announcement will receive an equal number of Mythic Rare wild cards added to their collection with the update.
Yeah, so this has already been enacted. Just FYI, don't try and play it in Best of One. You literally can't. Up next, so Hasbro has released some earnings information for its shareholders. Magic doing very, very well. Dungeons & Dragons doing very, very well for the brand. 500 million games have been played in open beta on Arena. More than 8 hours a week is the average playing time.
Wow, so if you have Arena, you're spending at about 8 hours a week on it, which is an impressive amount of time.
Yeah.
That's not a small amount.
That is wild. Okay.
That is a little over an hour a day.
So everybody who says Magic is always dying, well, here you go. Here's some numbers. It very distinctly is not. Hasbro down overall, but Magic and D&D kind of keeping that buoyancy, as well as Monopoly, by the way.
Well, everyone gets to have their opinions, even if their opinions are devastatingly wrong.
Up next, there's not going to be any more MSRP coming up on Magic products. What does this mean, and why have they chosen to do this? Blake Rasmussen said the reason for this is to streamline our communications around new products because MSRPs are not favored in many parts of the world. And since Magic is becoming more and more global, they wanted to make this change now.
Yes.
So just a little bit of a tiny bit of a change there, but also Judge shirts are now being produced by Channel Fireball Events. Wizards is also pushing that off of their plate onto CFBE.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, CFBE started being the sole company running Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of people said, well, why would you do this? And it certainly looks like one of the benefits is that they can start offloading more of the production onto, for instance, Channel Fireball.
Specific vendor.
Exactly. Yeah. There were 2 GP events this past weekend, GP Memphis and GP Strasbourg, and Jody Keith was the winner in Memphis.
All right, so this was standard, and the top 8 deck lists were Simic Nexus, piloted by Kenta Harane, Sultai Midrange in the hands of Corey Burkhart, Mono Blue Tempo from Steve Rubin, Sultai Midrange again from Nuhen Jahra Godri, Rakdos Midrange from Jody Keith, which took the whole thing down, another Mono Blue Tempo, and a Mono White aggro, and a Gruul midrange.
Wow, so quite a bit of deck diversity here.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Especially since Rakdos midrange, not something I had heard of yet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's been kind of a little bit under the radar. It's got Direfleet Daredevils to play with your opponent's spells, Siege Gang Commanders, Goblin Chainwhirlers, Rekindling Phoenixes, and then Karn, and my favorite card in the deck, Carnival Carnage.
Wow, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that one.
Discard, take some damage.
We also, as we said, had a GP in Strasbourg, which was limited.
Yes, congratulations to the winner there. I'm probably going to say your name wrong, so I apologize. Yives Seal? That can't be right. That can't be right. Anyway.
Well, we were trying.
Yeah, we're trying.
Did you look it up online and that's how you say that name?
No, I didn't.
Evis
Sele?
It cannot be Yives. I'm like, I would put money on the fact that it's not Yives.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
But this was, as we said, a limited event.
Yeah, some sweet decks there. I think it was Pascal Buren who had gone like something like 24-0 at some point in the tournament.
My goodness.
Like over this tournament and a previous limited tournament.
Wow.
So like that guy's on fire. Keep your eye out for him.
That's an impressive finish there.
At the Mythic Championship. Speaking of the Mythic Championship Cleveland coming up this weekend.
Yes, the hashtag is here and it's dumb. hashtag 2019 MC1.
That is the worst hashtag.
That means nothing. That means nothing. It looks just like when Google is like, can I suggest a password for this website? And it's just a string of letters and numbers.
Everybody, Megan's password is 2019 MC1.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, you can watch the whole weekend from Friday on to the top 8 on Sunday. The biggest prize purse for a Mythic Championship, aka Pro Tour, ever in the history of the game. And you can follow Magic Esports on Twitter. We talked about that name change recently. Just catch up with all the social media that Megan's going to be at the helm with.
That's right.
At Cleveland.
So we will see you there.
See you there. All right, a couple of tiny bits of news here. This one's kind of interesting. A board game has been announced.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ravnica Inquisition.
So this is going to be a social deduction game where you can play as Nicol Bolas or like members of the Gatewatch and try to catch each other, that kind of thing. So think of like Secret Hitler or, I don't know, I guess we'll have to see. It'll be something within that realm.
Yes. And finally, there are a couple of WotC comments about the future of Magic Online that came just randomly in a message that they sent to someone who had messaged them on Facebook.
Yeah. Asking about Magic Online and the future.
But the biggest thing to note is that they said, we have no plans at this stage to discontinue MTGO in favor of Arena. There are many players such as yourself who have invested a lot of time and money into the game, and it wouldn't be fair to simply cut it off without proper compensation strategies in place.
Interesting.
That being, of course, the kind of highlighted line that everyone is looking at.
Yeah, yeah. So a whole ton of news over this past weekend. So much news, in fact, that the TV behind us has turned itself off. So you know what? Let's be done too. What do you say?